Hey guys, back in the garage today. Today we're going to be working on the power steering, getting that all finished up and bled. We're going to finish up the cooling system, and then we're going to fire this thing up, let it get to operating temperature, and make sure the cooling fans turn on. Obviously make sure the power steering works, and then make sure the alternator's putting out. So got all my stuff laid out to throw it all together, so we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to say thanks to Rick for his cool ass sticker here. So I got you on the fender there, so thanks again for that. And I want to give a shout out to a buddy of mine, B-Rid Chevy Truck. I'll put his channel name at the bottom of the video here. Turns out I used to work with this guy 20 years ago, and we lost touch after leaving that job. And he ended up coming across my videos of the Firebird, and he noticed the Chevelle in the background, and he knew it was me because of the Chevelle. So in order for him to get a hold of me, he had to open his own YouTube channel. So we started talking, and he come over, checked out the bird, and I went and checked out his project too. He's got a 57 step-side truck, so it's actually doing some pretty good work to it there. I think a couple of you guys may be subscribed to him already, but anybody else, just jump over, say hi. He's just starting out, so just wanted to say all that. So we're going to get to work here. So alright, so what I need to do with the power steering, take the original power steering pressure line and connect the one end to the gearbox, and then the other end I can't use the fitting, so I'm going to have to lop it off and flare on a union, and then bend up some coat hanger and find my bend that I need for the fitting that I do need, and then I can cut off what I need and bend it up. So and that'll fit right into the power steering pump pressure section there. And then I've got the line for the return with some hose and some clamps. So first thing we're going to do is get the pump bolted back on and try to find a position for the pressure line. So I got the pressure line coming up and down the side of the alternator, going down the frame, and I gotta catch it at the back of the pulley, right in this area right here. So I made this piece up. It's gonna loop down and then come up and catch that line, and that should clear everything. And I will put a conduit over that pressure line, just because it's gonna probably just rub up on the alternator, but it should be okay. So I'll get this bolted up and show you. Alright, I got the pressure line on. I was able to get it to clear the alternator, but I just threw the conduit on there anyways. So I'll show you how I connected it down there at the bottom. Right there. So I got it looped down and then coming up and connecting right at that union there. So it's pretty rigid, so I think it's gonna work good. Clears the belt and everything. So then we're gonna get the return line hooked up, and then we can get some fluid in it. So, alright, I figured out the return side of the system here. It's gonna utilize this piece here that I made up. I saved that fitting so I can slide the hose on and install one of these clamp style clamps on it. So I'm going to put one down at that end, and I'm going to put one there at the reservoir as well. So it's going to kind of be up-routed out of the way of the belt along there, and then right down, where are we? Right there. So once I get the fitting somewhat positioned, I'm going to mark and cut the line, and then I'll pull it out, put the hose on, crimp it, and then I'll install it, and then I'll just crimp this end here. So alright, I'll show you when it's done. Alright, so I got that clamped on, so I'm going to install it on the gearbox, and then I just got to put a clamp on the reservoir, and then the power steering system's done, and hopefully it'll work good. So now I'm starting to get my heater hoses and my rad hoses on. So I've got the surge tank all connected up. I got the lower rad hose on, so now I'm just going to put the upper, and then I've got these hoses here to install, and then the ones from the firewall to the back, and then I can fill this thing with coolant. So. Alright, so I got the power steering system filled. I've got it bled, so we won't know until we fire it up. I brought my airlift home to fill the cooling system. These engines are notorious for getting air pockets, so if you've got one of these airlift systems, it makes life a whole lot easier. Basically what it does is it'll pull a vacuum on the entire cooling system, and then once it holds, you dunk the one hose into coolant, and it'll replace the vacuum with coolant, leaving no air pockets. So I'm going to get that done right now, and I'll bring you guys back when we fire it up. Alright, we're ready to start it up and have it idle up to operating temperature. I'll check for the power steering and make sure my alternator is charging. So here we go. System works good. Check the alternator. Disconnect my oxygen sensors without having the exhaust finished. It was reading too much oxygen down there, so it was just setting my fuel trim to skyrocket, dumping all this extra fuel in there, so she's just running rich. But it's running good now, but once I get the exhaust done, then I'll be able to plug that back in. Well guys, this thing's been running for about a half an hour now, and the temperature is staying at a constant 194, so this thing's running pretty cool. I think just the ambient air hitting the rad is cooling it enough, but I'll have the laptop with me when I road test this, so I'll be able to keep an eye on it then. The only thing I really don't like is my fuel pressure is a little bit high. It's sitting about under 70 psi. It should be between 55 and 60, so I have to check spec on that fuel pressure regulator, which is part of the fuel filter. So other than that, I don't have any leaks under this thing other than the little bit of tranny fluid coming out of the tailstock. I have my yoke out of it because it gets the drive shaft made, so it's just a couple little drops coming out of there, but no big deal. So yeah, looks like everything's good. Power steering system's working great. Cooling system seems to be working. The charging system, now this one here, I left this wire on because one of the schematics I had showing this going to a battery feed. And then another schematic I had, it showed it not being used, so I left it there in case I needed to connect it, which I don't, so now I can eliminate it. And the only thing I got left to do is make up an air intake, run a couple vacuum lines, and that's about it for under the hood. She can be done. And I should have my drive shaft next week, and then I have to see about doing my exhaust up. Then I can totally get all my readings from fuel trim and stuff like that and see how it's running. But with the exhaust being opened by the oxygen sensors, it's just reading way too much oxygen, so it's just dumping the fuel in. So this thing was just choking itself out. But other than that, I will call this one quits, and see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.